Present verb conjugation in Hebrew is the modification of a verb's form that expresses facts and a list of actions. The present tense is quite simple because it doesn't have any progressive changes. To conjugate verbs in the present, we have to understand how to identify Hebrew verbs. A verb is a word that shows an action, and Hebrew verbs have an infinitive form, which begins with lamed, either by le, li, or la, and such a sign acts as the preposition to, followed by a root pattern, typically built from 3 root letters. Some verbs can be lichtov, lichtov, to write, lirot, lirot, to see, ledaber, ledaber, to speak, lalechet, lalechet, to walk or to go. In this case, we can identify the words because they begin with lamed, which indicates that they're verbs. Alongside, we can see through the vowel sounds and spot the root of every verb, so that's how we identify Hebrew verbs. In Hebrew, present tense verbs are based on participles and not finite verb forms. This means that the present tense behaves more like adjectives, so Hebrew has no verb endings for any tense, but just for person, gender, and number. Verbs in the present agree with the subject in gender, masculine or feminine, and number, singular or plural, but not person. This means that pronouns will get the same form depending on gender and number. To give an example, let's analyze this verb. Lichtov, lichtov, to write. When conjugated in the present, it will have a basic verb pattern, only being affected by gender and number. Masculine singular subjects like ani, ata, and hu will preserve the 3-letter root and be kotev, kotev, ani kotev, I write masculine, ata kotev, you write masculine, hu kotev, he writes. Feminine singular subjects like ani, at, and he will borrow the previous conjugation only with an additional letter. Kotevet, kotevet. Ani kotevet. I write feminine. At kotevet. You write feminine. He kotevet. She writes. Masculine plural subjects like anachnu, atem, and hem will be kotvim, kotvim. Anachnu kotvim. We write masculine. Atem kotvim. Y'all write masculine. Hem kotvim. They write masculine. We can also tell that the subjects are masculine and plural because the ending im is ubiquitous across masculine beings in Hebrew. Feminine plural subjects like anachnu, aten, and hen will be kotvot, kotvot. Anachnu kotvot. We write feminine. Aten kotvot. Y'all write feminine. Hen kotvot. They write feminine. We can also tell that the subjects are feminine and plural because the ending ot is ubiquitous across feminine beings in Hebrew. In general, this is how Hebrew verb conjugation works in the present. Each conjugation follows a 3-letter root, and so the Niqqud pattern across every conjugation must be known, because it is consistent across many verbs, but the root letters will change based on the verb's meaning. Let's see a different verb, like le'echol, le'echol, to eat. Try to conjugate the verb using the 3-letter pattern, and see if you can get the conjugations right. Now, I will show and pronounce them. Ani ochel. Ani ochelet. Ata ochel. At ochelet. Hu ochel. He ochelet. Anachnu ochlim. Anachnu ochlot. Atem ochlim. Aten ochlot. Hem ochlim. Hen ochlot. Let's try a different verb, like lilmod. Lilmod, to study. Try to conjugate the verb. אני לומד. אני לומדת. אתה לומד. את לומדת. הוא לומד. היא לומדת. אנחנו לומדים. אנחנו לומדות. אתם לומדים. אתן לומדות. הם לומדים. הן לומדות. Now, let's do one last verb. לעבוד. לעבוד. To work. אני עובד. אני עובדת. אתה עובד. את עובדת. הוא עובד. היא עובדת. אנחנו עובדים. אנחנו עובדות. אתם עובדים. אתן עובדות. הם עובדים. הן עובדות. Overall, this is how present verb conjugation works in Hebrew, and after understanding it, we can make basic sentences to practice speaking, like saying, אני כותב ספר. I, masculine, write a book. היא כותבת מכתב. She writes a letter. And in this example, we can see how the root pattern is even preserved in the noun, because a letter, מכתב, relates to writing. אנחנו עובדים בבית. We, masculine, work at home. By making simple sentences, we expand our vocabulary and obtain a lot of information just from speaking the language. Still, when a group contains masculine and feminine subjects, even if it's only one male, the masculine plural form is used. For instance, if you have 10 girls and 1 boy, the masculine plural verb is used. הם הולכים לבית הספר. They, masculine, go to school. Even though most of the group is feminine, the presence of one male triggers the masculine form. This convention comes from biblical and classical Hebrew, where the masculine was used to represent mixed or unknown groups, so it is a sexist rule. Lastly, the concept of irregular conjugations must be known. Across many languages, especially the ones I showed on the channel, there are regular and irregular verb conjugations in many tenses, but Hebrew is somewhat of an exception. In general, the present tense in Hebrew is very regular, and it's based on participles that follow predictable patterns. Most Hebrew verbs are regular in the present, and once you know the root letters, you can instinctively form the tense with any verb, but some irregularities do exist. Some verbs have defective or weak roots, causing the root to disappear or slightly change, like the verb לצאת, לצאת, to go out. The present conjugation of this verb will be יוצא for masculine singular subjects, יוצאת for the feminine singular, יוצאים for the masculine plural, and יוצאות for the feminine plural. Although some patterns for the conjugation have remained, the root of the verb has slightly changed, which is an irregular pattern. It's also possible to find verbs with only 2 strong root letters, like לשים, לשים, to put. Verbs with 2 root letters do not fit the regular pattern, so they are irregular and quite rare. The present conjugation of this verb will be some for the masculine singular, sama for the feminine singular, samim for the masculine plural, and samot for the feminine plural. In summary, most Hebrew verbs are regular, so it's best to learn their conjugation pattern using their roots, which are affected by gender and number, and not so much by person. Still, don't forget about weak roots and verbs with 2 root letters, because they will come naturally, but for now, simply focus on regular verbs. Overall, this is how present verb conjugation fully works in Hebrew.